I've talked about the use of police horses and the extent of stress that these horses are showing when they're being used to disperse protesters. And this is no different than what we saw at the No Kings protest, where horses are being ridden up to protesters and pushed into them to try to move around protesters that are otherwise protesting peacefully. As a horse behavioral professional, I want to talk about how unnatural it is for horses to be in these types of environments. And despite being trained for them, these horses are still very stressed. And you can see by how the police are yanking them around and trying to force them into these situations. They don't want to be here. They don't want to be pushing into people. They don't want to be being used for violence. There's a long-standing history and connection of horses' use to uphold capitalistic structures and protect the ruling class, and their use in the police force is no different. I think we should look at how police are treating horses in an effort to try to subdue a population that is ultimately protesting a fascist government, and how much lack of care they have for the humans, but also the horses who are supposed to be officers that are on their force. Horses have no place in protest situations, and it's inherently unethical to use them for such, and despite how well trained these horses are supposed to be for this task, they're still very overwhelmed and very stressed. I hate seeing these types of videos because it's unfair to the horses, and then it's also dangerous to protesters because each horse is probably weighing in at around 1,000 pounds. A lot of police horses also have metal horseshoes, so in the event that they step on anyone, they have the capacity to do a lot more damage than they would with their bare hoof, and it can be very painful. In the past year alone, we have seen numerous protests where police horses have actually run people over and caused injuries that resulted in the person needing to go to the hospital. This is a completely unethical way to handle protesters who are exercising one of their basic rights to protest, and it's also a completely unethical way to handle the horses. So if you're out protesting and police officers are using horses to try to subdue you and push you around, keep in mind that the horses don't want to be there either. But also be mindful of the fact that officers can and will force them to go over top of you, despite the fact that the horses will try to avoid doing this, because they do not want to trample you even when they're being pushed and made to do so and yanked around like they're a fucking dirt bike. Shout out to all the people who were out there protesting the complete lack of ethics in their government and the insane person that's currently running the country.